Here's 5 sitcoms with a space theme that you may have missed or forgotten about. They came from outer space. There was a time when bumbling doofus aliens was pretty much its own genre. Movies like Spaced Invaders, Morons from Outer Space, as well as TV shows like They Came from Outer Space. They Came from Outer Space was about 2 teenage alien dudes from the planet Crouton who come to Earth in search of, what else? Chicks! They use their alien superpowers to fix up an old stingray, and they travel the US while trying to stay off the radar of some government officials who want to dissect them. Dean Cameron played Bo, and Stuart Fratkin was Abe. Right before this, they starred in the raunchy comedy Ski School, and they played about the same characters here, only now they're sex-starved aliens instead of sex-starved humans. The show premiered on October 1st, 1990. The dynamic was that Abe was the serious one, and Bo was the goofy one. The episodes were mostly Bo getting them into trouble, and Abe trying to figure a way out of said trouble. The show was syndicated, so it ran on different networks at different times. Ratings were lukewarm, and the critics weren't particularly fond of the show's attitude, which wasn't surprising given their distaste for movies like, well, Ski School. In the finale, the duo made their way to a spoof of the Playboy Mansion, with John Astin playing a Hugh Hefner-type guy, Ness Nesson. The last episode aired on March 19th, 1991. The show lasted for 1 season with 20 episodes. The complete series was released on DVD in 2012, and a few episodes are on YouTube. So if you missed this one, it's still easy to see. Homeboys in Outer Space. With the success of shows like Moesha, the fledgling network UPN was looking at ways to cater some of their programming towards a black audience, what they considered an untapped market. They saw shows like In Living Color and Martin doing very well, so in their infinite wisdom, they created Homeboys in Outer Space. Homeboys in Outer Space was about Morris, played by Daryl M. Bell, and Tiberius, played by Flex. The two traverse the universe in a spaceship that looks like a converted lowrider POS. Many of the episodes have the duo in charge of delivering something to a planet or a space station and getting into various hijinks along the way. It's so ridiculous you'd think this was a sketch for Mad TV, but no, this really happened. The show premiered on October 27th, 1996. It was immediately panned by critics who called it Star Trek meets Amos and Andy. While Moesha was praised for its portrayal of a black family in suburbia, Homeboys was trashed for its overuse of stereotypes and general bad taste in humor.
Before you go, I just have one thing to say. For the love of God, spank me!
The show was canceled and the last episode aired on May 13th, 1997. It ran for 1 season with 21 episodes. While the show didn't have a lot of staying power at the time, it's since been remembered by various list websites and YouTube channels who mention it as one of the worst TV shows of all time. Couldn't have been that bad. They let the whole season play out, unlike The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. The show was never released on DVD, it isn't available for streaming, but many of the episodes are on YouTube. To me, Homeboys in Outer Space is nostalgic now, with its goofy look at mid-90s hip-hop culture. Not the best show, but honestly, far from the worst. Trip in the Rift. Trip in the Rift was originally a series of short animations that was picked up and turned into a full series by the Sci-Fi Channel. It was created by Chris Moeller, who was working on King of the Hill at the time, and comic book writer and artist Chuck Austin. It was essentially a mixture of Star Wars, Star Trek, and Futurama. Only dirty. Most likely due to the overwhelming success of South Park, they were looking for this to be a sort of South Park in space. The series was about a group of misfits who do all sorts of odd space jobs, with their captain trying to figure out how to get rich and have sex with the Pleasure Bot 6. They're chased by the evil Darth Bobo, which, as you can surmise, is a mix of Darth Vader and a clown. 6, or 6 of 1, being a spoof of 7 of 9, was voiced by various women. Patricia Beckman and Terry Farrell in the pilot, Gina Gershon in Season 1, Carmen Electra in Season 2, and Jenny McCarthy in Season 3. The AI of the spaceship was voiced by stuttering John Melendez, who, I hear, went on to dabble in comedy after the show ended. The show premiered on March 4th, 2004. Due to its raunchy nature, it did fairly well. It was rerun quite a bit, which was the usual for Sci-Fi, with them trying to fill in various spots in their lineup. The show was syndicated all around the world on channels like Sky One and D-Max. It lasted 3 seasons with 39 episodes, and the final episode aired on December 13th, 2007. In March of 2008, they released Trippin' the Rift, the movie, which went direct-to-video. It ran like a feature-length episode of the show and was made as a way to tie up some loose ends and give closure to the series. The CG animation was decent for a TV series back in the early 2000s. It has that sort of cartoony reboot look with nothing being too detailed. It works well for the show and makes it easier to watch than some of the other early CG shows from the time. The show is filled with obnoxious, raunchy humor, which I enjoyed, but your mileage may vary. All 3 seasons are available on DVD, but they aren't cheap. The movie's also on DVD, but is out of print and is going for about $50. Seasons 1 and 2 are available to purchase digitally on Amazon. They have a Trippin' the Rift official YouTube channel, which has a bunch of episodes for you to watch. They also have an announcement video saying that something huge is coming, but no other updates in a year. I'm thinking perhaps with advances in technology since 2004 that perhaps they're planning on making new episodes for YouTube. Although with the current state of YouTube, I'm sure 90% of their jokes would get their videos demonetized and buried. Gilligans Planet. While most everyone remembers the show Gilligan's Island, there are plenty that have no idea that there was an animated spin-off. Even less know that there were 2 animated spin-offs. Gilligan's Planet was the second animated spin-off of the show, with the first being The New Adventures of Gilligan. The show is pretty much what you think it is. The professor designed a way to get the castaways off the island by creating a spaceship, which then crash lands on a deserted planet. The spaceship's damaged in the crash, so they have to figure out how to repair it to get home. Good thing they landed on a planet with oxygen. The fact that he was able to build a spaceship capable of interplanetary travel but not repair a hole in the boat is, well, just a tiny bit ridiculous. The show was a Saturday morning cartoon that premiered on September 18th, 1982. The original cast returned to do the voices, except for Tina Louise, who played Ginger. She refused to be involved in anything Gilligan's Island related after the show ended, and would much rather be in movies with John Carradine draining the blood of teenagers while flying the shuttle from Battlestar Galactica. Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann, did double duty in the series, and she voiced Mary Ann and Ginger. Although Ginger was now a blonde, which kinda goes against her being named Ginger and all that. The show ran until December 11th, 1982. It lasted 1 season with 13 episodes. It was released on DVD in 2014 and also is available to buy digitally on Amazon. Far Out Space Nuts. Far Out Space Nuts is kind of like Gilligan's Planet, the live-action version. The show is about Gilligan, Jr., played by Bob Denver, a goofy repairman working for NASA with his grumpy friend the skipper, Barney, played by Chuck McCann, who was also the show's creator and writer. The show revolved around this duo after they were accidentally sent into space by Junior hitting the launch button instead of the lunch button.
Lunch! I said lunch, not lunch!
While trapped in space, they befriend an alien they name Honk. I'll leave it up to you as to why they call it that. The show was created for Sid and Marty Krofft Television, who made much more famous shows like Sigmund the Sea Monster and H.R. Pufnstuf. The show premiered on September 6th, 1975. Almost every episode had the duo either being captured by aliens, or they'd land on some bizarre planet where they would be captured by aliens. One episode had John Carradine taking a break from talking to bees, so he could capture the duo and ask them if they would be willing to kidnap teenagers so he could steal their blood. The last episode aired on December 13th, 1975. It ran for 1 season with 15 episodes. Even though it was only 1 season, the show continued on in syndication until 1985 as part of the Krofft Superstar Show, which was loaded with their previously created programs like the Bugaloos and the Banana Splits. The show's never been released on DVD and isn't available for streaming. Some episodes are on YouTube. There is a placeholder on Amazon, but that's been there since 2011, so it doesn't look like it's coming to DVD anytime soon or ever. Well, that's another 5 shows. Considering how much TV has been made over the past few decades, I still have plenty of programs to introduce you to or remind you about. Stay tuned.
to Fallopia. I'm Ula. Ula la.
Certainly are.
This just keeps getting worse.